is the push to legalize some psychedelics for medical treatment. This is not a new debate, but the therapeutic use of hallucinogenic mushrooms, MDMA, LSD, it's getting a lot of talk right now because of a 20-minute segment that aired on HBO's Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. He went into the history, some of the success stories from the treatment, but also talked about the need for regulations and proceeding carefully.
Now, state laws could cover it, state regulatory agencies could, or professional organisations might. But someone has to. Because if they don't, people are likely to get hurt, which could then send us all the way back to fear-mongering bans and research getting put on ice, which is the last thing that we should want to happen. Because there is massive potential here.
For a long time, that massive potential has been limited to select clinical trials, though a lot of places are considering changes to the law. In 2020, Oregon became the first state to legalize psilocybin-assisted therapy and decriminalize possession. Colorado then followed suit, and several more states have introduced legislation, including here in New York, with this bill to allow the medical use of psilocybin currently in the Assembly Health and Senate Finance Committees. Now, we know MDMA has shown promise for post-traumatic stress disorder and psilocybin for treatment-resistant depression. Research shows that it opens the pathways in the brain relating to memory and also emotions. While these substances are generally safe, there are a lot of concerns. And joining us live right now is Assemblyman Burke. He represents South Buffalo. Sir, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and you're the sponsor of that bill that we mentioned is now before the Health Committee in Albany. Let's just start here with the basics and why it is that people should get behind this.
Because we have a lot of people out there suffering. We have a lot of people who have been suffering for too long in silence. And this is really just another tool to alleviate suffering. The research has been incredible from Johns Hopkins, from several reputable institutions across the country. And unfortunately, we had this legacy going back to the 60s and 70s of criminalizing what is really an effective tool against depression, PTSD, anxiety. And in our society right now, I know everybody, probably everybody, everyone watching this at home knows somebody who's suffering from one of those conditions. And the idea that we wouldn't use the tools that we have available because of dogma, because of old politics, because of bad ideas, yesterday's ideas, is something we need to get past. And that's why I'm doing this.
In the clinical trials that we've seen on these substances, a single treatment session can last like 8 to 12 hours. I want to play what one researcher said who is looking into how this could benefit veterans specifically with PTSD.
Sure.
This is a package of treatment that involves substantial screening, psychological and medical oversight, as well as having to have the trained professionals with people the whole duration of that process.
So, Assemblyman, I know that leads to the question here of how realistic this type of treatment is. It seems incredibly expensive, it's time-consuming, potentially hazardous if not done correctly. How do you balance that as you try to put together a regulatory framework?
I mean, we're people, so we're always flawed, so we do the best we can with the information that we have. Don't forget, human beings have been using this for thousands and thousands of years. They've been using it for religious practices, for medicine, for a very long time. So the idea that this is just some new thing, it isn't. The research is relatively new because, again, it was cut off in the Nixon era. So we still have to catch up there. But we have to put our best foot forward here. The idea of not doing it, again, is, in my mind, cruel. Like, we overcome difficult problems. There is a cost issue, but we already have, healthcare in this country is the cost of it are out of control. The idea that we wouldn't do this, that could save lives, that could, help people who are right now struggling to thrive because of things that we can easily hurdle would be silly. I think this bill addresses that. It puts in a fund for veterans, for first responders, for people who can't afford it. And hopefully we'll get to a point in this country where we just treat it as medicine and it's available through your insurance provider as well.
I know that, as we mentioned there, Oregon was the first state to legalize this. Any lessons learned, and are they even fully up and running yet? I mean, I think back to when, marijuana legalization happened medically. It took so long to get a system up and running for something like this. Right. While this isn't the same thing, have you learned anything from what Oregon did that could help you establish something like this in New York, should this pass?
Oregon is having its struggles. It's a little bit different because, this would go through the legislative process and not just a ballot initiative like Colorado, for example. Yes, so frankly, we need to get ahead of it. The further along we get, there's more research that helps us. And this is frankly the, I think, fourth iteration of this bill, because when you're doing something like this, you're doing the best you can with the information you have. And the more information you get, it will continuously, hopefully improve. We've tried to create this structure, but that isn't overly restrictive. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare professional, so the idea of this bill is to create the framework, but a lot of the actual, the details that need to be done should be done by medical professionals, so the Department of Health, with an advisory board, with people who have very long-standing experience in the psychedelic medicine, you want to create a structure that creates safety, but also isn't restrictive on medical professionals to adjust when they need to.
We'll be following it again. It's in committee right now in the Assembly and in the Senate. Assemblyman Patrick Burke represents the 142nd District and again the sponsor of this bill. Thanks for helping us understand what it's all about, sir.
We're going to get it done. Thanks.
Thanks.